Hi there. Today we'll start learning a new subject as we spoke over the phone. It's going to be website development, which will teach you how to build your own website. And we'll start from the very basics. And I will teach you in a method that I call the pyramid method. The pyramid method is Actually, it's an upside down pyramid, as you can see here in the drawing. And at the bottom, you have a tip. And the tip is very narrow. So that means that I'm assuming that you have very little knowledge, almost no knowledge, about programming, web development, websites, what's behind websites, and almost no knowledge of computers. And then after I teach you a few things, then we go to the next layer, and the things that I teach in the next layer will rely on the assumption that you understood what I taught at this level. And then we'll go up another layer, and as you understand more and more tools and concepts, we'll go higher and higher, and we'll make our base broader and wider, and we can take it as high as we want, and it depends how much you want to learn, and maybe at some point you'll get to teach me something. So anyway, for today it will be a very easy lesson, because I just want to make sure that you can use the tools that we need, and you'll create yourself a place where you store the files that we want to build. And therefore I'll go into Windows, because you don't have a Mac, unfortunately. So I'll just run Windows under Mac, and I'll switch to Windows. And the first thing I wanted to do is I want to make sure that you can go to Windows Explorer. Windows Explorer is this view where you can see your folders or directories on the left and files on the right. Every time you click something, if it's a plus, you can expand it, and then if you click on one of the folders, it will show you on the right hand side, it will show you the files. And I want to make sure that you can create a new folder. So if you just go on your computer, go to the C drive, and what you have to do on the C drive is go to File, New, and then pick Folder. Okay, this one doesn't let me create folder under this, so I'll create a folder here. So you can see here I created a new folder, and I'll give it a name, and you should call it something like web development. I put an underscore. So web is a shortcut for website, web development, and this is the folder that we'll put files in. So now you can see it here, web development, and right now it's empty. So when I click on it, I don't see anything on the right hand side. So you should be able to go to your C drive or any drive that you have in your computer and do the same thing. Just click once on the drive letter and then go File, New, Folder, and then give it a name, and this will be the place to store the files. Now, if you succeed doing that, the next step is to go into a program called Notepad. It's normally under Accessories. So if you go to All Programs, Accessories, you will find something that's called Notepad, and it looks like a notepad. You click on it, you open Notepad, and Notepad is a simple text editor. And a text editor is something that you can type text in. So you can navigate, you can go down lines, you can type all kind of text, you can erase text, you can go up, you can go down, you can write many lines. This is the idea of text editor, that you can write text in it. And this will be our tool to use for a while before we get too advanced, and you'll be surprised to see how many things you can create with just Notepad. And you can create actual web pages with Notepad, and we'll do that even today. So before we do that, I just wanted to give you a preview on how the web is constructed, how the internet is constructed, and what type of things we are going to put on the internet. And it's just going to be a very, very high level overview. So it's not going to go into details. We'll get into details once we start building pages and uploading those pages and viewing them on the internet. And as we do that, we'll see more and more details. But right now, I'd like to divide what we're going to do into two large subjects. And one subject will be called presentation. Actually, I'll write it in larger letters so you remember it. Oops, I'll write it here. Presentation. So presentation means the way things look, the way a web page looks, and this is what we see when we go to a web browser like Internet Explorer, or if we go to Mozilla's Firefox or Safari or Chrome. Any web browser will show us pages on the internet, and what we see on the page is the way the data is presented. So the presentation part of our exercises and our development will be creating pages that are static. Static means we create a page with some words on it, pictures, a few other things, and we just look at it. We can see it with different browsers. We may be able to have several pages and link between those pages, but there will be nothing exciting about it. It will just be a way to give information, sort of like a blog or a picture album, or simple things. And the second topic that we'll deal with, which will come a little later, will be actually programming. So you have a little bit of a background with C, even though you haven't done much of the homework that I gave you, but you will see that in order to create interesting websites, we'll also need to know some programming, and not necessarily C, but even other languages that I will teach you. You will need some kind of logic. Similar to C, you'll have if statements, you'll have a flow of commands, and but we'll see that much later. Now, for the first part, the presentation, we will use a language that's called HTML. HTML stands for hypertext. I don't even remember what it is. Let's look it up. Oh, the M is markup. I remember. Okay. Hypertext markup language. Hypertext markup language means it's a language that allows us to present things as text that also creates links between pages. The links are going to be the hypertext. So when you have a link, you click on the link and it makes you jump to another page. And the part of the markup will be something that's called tags. We learn what tags are, and they call it language, but it's not really a language in the sense of programming, because it's a very, very static language. It doesn't have a flow of a regular programming language, but you'll see it later. So now let's create our first page, our first web page with Notepad. So we'll go back to Notepad, and before we touch on the different markups for HTML, I'll just teach you two tags today, and I'll teach you how to write the tags. So with HTML, we normally write a tag with an angle bracket, left angle bracket, and then the name of the tag. I'll call this tag H1, and I close it with a right angle bracket, and then I put some text after that. Here I can put, for example, my first web page, (2011). And then in order to finish this, I'll put a closing tag, and normally a closing tag also starts with an angle bracket. Then you have slash, forward slash, and then the same name, H1, and closing the angle bracket with the right angle bracket. And well, this is it. This is my first page. So the next thing I'll do is save this. And I'll save it in the same folder that I created. if you remember, I created a folder that was called Web Development. So let's go to Web Development, and let me call this page. This is an important point. You have to call the page, you can call it any name you want. Let me call it first underscore page, but I'll put an extension of HTML, because if I don't put the extension HTML, Notepad will put an extension of TXT for me, and extension of TXT, it will not be easy to open with the browser. So when you save the web page, you give it a name and you put .html. So let's do save. And now let's see how this page will look on the web. So in order to see it on the web, I'll go to a web browser. I'll open Internet Explorer, as much as I don't like Internet Explorer. But anyway, I guess you have Internet Explorer. And let me open the page that I just created. How do I do that? I can't type anything in the address bar, because the address bar takes things from the internet. And the page that I saved is not yet on the internet. It's only on my hard drive in the folder that I created. So we simply go into File, and we go into Open, and then we browse, and we go to the folder that we created for our web pages, which was Web Development. Double click that, and we're supposed to see, let's see, all files. Did I save it in Web Development? Let's see where I saved it. Save as. Web Development. HTML. I think I didn't put the type. I have to put save as type all files. And now hopefully it saved it. So let's go back to the browser. And now I see first page. So when we saved it in Notepad, we had to write that its type is all files in order to save it as an HTML file. And now I open it and click OK here. And remember what I put between the H1 tags? My first web page, 2011. So now you created your first web page. Now, what were those H1 tags? The H1 tags were heading number 1. That's why it's called H1. Now let's see if we put H2 tags, if we can see any difference between the H2 and the H1. H2 tag, the same idea. And here I'll put author name. And you can put your name. Or anything else that you want. Any text that you want. and you close it with /h2, close the angle bracket, and we'll do save, and let's go and open it with the web browser and see what the difference is. Let me do again. Open, browse, first page, open, okay. Okay, so now you see the effect of the H2 tags. The H2 tags give you heading that's smaller than the H1. So the H1 is heading number 1 and the H2 is heading number 2, which is smaller in size. And what I'd like you to do as an exercise is create a new page and this time use H1, H2, and there is also H3. So once you do that, send me the page and look at it yourself, send it to me with an email, and this is enough for our introduction to HTML. And hopefully if you have any questions, either ask me over the phone or send me an email, and if I have the answer, I'll give it back to you. So this is it for now. Bye.